You're listening to Mr. Suave at mrsuave.com.
Mod is a generic term for the modern young man.
You were just a little mod. Just a little mod. She's a mod, she's a mod, she's a mod. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't give a monkey's arseholes about mods and rockers.
All I really want is me a mod boy with his own unique style.
Are you a mod or a rocker?
No, I'm a mocker.
Me one of us come on to getting underway. It's taking all night and into the day. Mods are back again. Mods are back again. Mods are back again.
Whether you approve or disapprove, they are real. And they're happening now in the mod world all around you.
You're listening to Mr. Suave's Mod World at mrsuave.com.
Kicking the cautious into the light, biting the bullet. It's alright. Bringing the baby into the bride, and I don't mind. Turning the empty spot to the frame, fueling the darkness with the flame, cheating the devil that hellbound train, and I don't mind. I don't mind. You can have it your way, and it's okay to say what you wanna, do what you wanna, and roll that rock up that hill, and down it goes, sweetest pill. Buckle your bootstraps, lace 'em up tight, chasing a pipe dream, it's alright. Embracing the bullshit and the fight, and I don't mind. I don't mind. Yeah, you can have it your way, and it's okay to say what you wanna, write what you wanna, and roll that rock up that hill, down it goes, bitter pill. Scream into the vacuum and suck up the crickets. Stroke you, provoke you, when everyone's a critic. Yep. Roll that rock up that hill, rock that roll, the only pill. Right?
Hi, I'm Linda from the Chelsea Curve, and you're listening to Mr. Suave's Mod World at mrsuave.com.
Hey, relax, guy.
All right, welcome to the Modcast. I am so excited to be joined by Vic and Steve from Star Collector. And this is probably the second or third time I've talked with Vic, and the first time that Steve's been here. So welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
I am excited to tell you guys that they have a new album. A lot of listeners will already know that because they're smart people and good listeners. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We'll talk about the recording. We'll talk about some other stuff. We'll talk about some music things. And we'll see what they're thinking about the future, maybe, too. I don't know. I'll pick their brains a little bit. So this is Everything Must Go. And I have to ask where the title came from because it sounds like an ad in a newspaper somewhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea behind the lyric is that that it doesn't matter how much money you've got, or if you don't have any, or if you're getting a bit long in the tooth, or if you're kind of young, or if you're just living on the outer edges of what's considered normal society, it shouldn't matter. The whole point is that everything must go at some point. And so, like lyric says, man, hey, come on out for the show. Go out and live your life.
I like it. The whole thing is pretty anthemic, I thought. And when I first heard it, I was like, okay, this will be the kind of thing that's a crowd favorite for you guys.
Well, seems to go over pretty well so far since we started playing it. So you could be right. Yeah, it's been a lot of comparisons on. You're talking about the song,
right? Yeah. I'm thinking
right?
of this song now. Of course, the album too, the title, right, going together, the title track. But yeah, I'm just thinking about the song being so anthemic. When I heard it, I was like, wow, this is going to be like people will be jumping up and down and singing along with you, I think.
Well, yeah, it's having that somewhat of that effect so far, which makes us feel pretty good, makes us want to play it. It's that particular song came about, as you know, because I've talked to you before, Rob, and at some point I'll get Steve to jump in here too, but just to talk about this particular, how this came about. So on our last record, I kind of decided I had this philosophy around songwriting and, life in general anyway. Probably had it for years. In fact, when I met Steve, I probably had this philosophy too, because one of the songs is about that exact thing, which is, in this life, don't ask, don't get. So it's easy to go through life and think, oh, I better not try that because I might fail. Well, who gives a shit, man? Like, if it's something you want to do or something you want to try, give it a go. And if it doesn't happen, what have you lost? So anyway, so on our last record, Attack, Sustain, Decay, Repeat from 2023, I decided to put that philosophy into play and reach out to a fellow who plays in a band that I've always admired in Sweden called The Soundtrack of Our Lives. His name's Ian, and Ian Persson, and he's one of the guitar players for that band. And like I said, always been a fan. And a DJ in Sweden was playing our song Rip It Off from our Game Day album, which is 2 albums ago now. And he noticed that I was wearing a Soundtrack of Our Lives t-shirt in the video that Steve put together. So Steve actually had something to do with this all happening too, if we hadn't done this video. And the DJ said, oh, you're wearing a Soundtrack of Our Lives t-shirt in that video. And I said, I am. I love that band. Are you a fan? He said, not only am I a fan, but I actually know one of the guys. This DJ lives in Gothenburg, Sweden, where Ian lives and the band's from. So 8 months later, after I built a pretty good rapport with this DJ, I said, how'd you feel about maybe putting Ian and I in touch about maybe doing some writing together? Don't ask, don't get. And he said, sure, as long as I get to do some hand claps on the album. And we thought that was a pretty decent trade-off. So I said, absolutely. So he went back to Ian. Luckily, Ian had already liked the song Rip It Off in the video, and he listened to some more of our stuff. And he said, sure, I'd be happy to. He sent me a couple unfinished demos of music, and a couple of the songs on the last album, Feel It Coming On and Running Through the Rain, were based on some demos that he sent me, and we ended up co-writing, even though we've never actually met in person. Yeah.
Thank you, Internet.
Yeah, that's another whole thing that we can open up. But so that was how that happened. So it went so well that this time around, after that album was kind of out there and Steve and I and the band were putting songs together for a new record, I decided to ask him again. And again, he sent me 2 demos. And one of them was the music and a basic feel and energy for the song that eventually became Everything Must Go.
All right.
So that's how that kind of came together. And then after I finished writing it and sent it back to him, and he said, yeah, sounds great. Then I gave it to Steve, and Steve started to demo it. And then I sang on the demo, and then we showed it to the band, and yada, yada, yada. So that was kind of how that all came together. And again, this is probably a conversation for a little later as we get into it. But the thing on this album that I've noticed and has been pointed out to me already is that there's more co-writes on this record than any record that we've ever done. On some of the older records, I would write like 70% of the stuff myself, or Steve and I would write half together and whatever. But on this record, there's 13 songs and only 2 of them are songs I wrote myself. Wow. And all the rest are co-writes. About half of it with Steve, and then a couple with Ian, a couple others peppered in there too. So I think that also brings a different flavor to it. And I guess my point about that is simply that when you co-write with people, the whole point of it is to bring their energy, their philosophy, their style, their vibe to the song, because if not, I might as well just fucking write it myself. Right.
Right.
So less hassle, you just do it and it's done. So and I really enjoyed that process this time around, and it's probably one of the reasons this album is even more varied, I would say, than the last one. And the last one, our big tagline was that we're really pushing the boundaries of power pop and mod and rock and trying to push out further, with songs, like acoustic songs and stuff. But on this record, I think we've even gone further in some directions, including heavier in some. And as you said, this one's pretty anthemic, and it's kind of got a bit of Buzzcocks, a bit of Jet, a bit of Cheap Trick.
Yeah. So, I love how it kicks things off and gets the album started, really, because it is, I can't get away from the word anthemic. I don't know why, but it really gets your blood pumping, right? And kind of sets the tone. And then you guys do a good job of kind of moderating that through up and down through the whole album. But I like to jump in like that. First thing, talk about the single. You've got a great video for it. But I want to back up a little bit too. And most of the listeners will know about Star Collector. But I'm curious to know kind of your history, the two of you. I know you guys, you started the band together and have been together a long time and really have this simpatico sort of thing going on, which is really great. And to have lasted this long is pretty great. So maybe you could tell me a little bit. I'm curious. I've heard from Vic in the past. We've talked about how you started out in the mod scene and some things. Steve, were you a part of that as well? Is that how you guys got to know each other, or did you just bump into each other at the gas station?
Almost. Literally, we actually bumped into each other in a restaurant. What is it now? 30 some years ago.
1988, December of 1988. So wow. 37 years coming up.
Yeah, I was fresh from a small town in the Kootenays, just moving out to Vancouver, and looking to start a band. And I didn't know the mod scene at all. I was introduced to the mod scene by Vic. I came from a small town where it was just, whatever was on the 80s video hits is what I was, Van Halen was like the ultimate thing for me. So I've come a long way in this journey.
Well, it sounds like you had a foot in the mod scene early on, because you're playing a lot of the guitar solos and things. I don't know. I hear them and I think, all of the songs have a little reminiscence of The Who and some 60s and sort of those kind of things. And I'll talk more about a couple of the songs I really like for that reason in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you just grew up the same way that Vic did, as part of the mod scene. But where did you grow up in Canada?
In a small place near Cranbrook, BC, which is like kind of the southeast corner of British Columbia. So pretty small. Very small. So most of my mod learning and stuff happened once I got to the city, and working with Vic and just studying the Who, and just really listening and trying to take it on, because I just loved it so much. So
yeah. So you guys got together early on, and you did the first. Were there 3 albums kind of in the early years, and then you took a break and then came back, right? Or were there 4 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, Vic, well, we actually started in different bands first.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we started working together. Then I moved away for a brief time. We kind of took some time off. And then Vic started Star Collector while I was away. And then I ended up moving back to Vancouver. And that's when I kind of joined Star Collector. So
when was that?
Was that 96, 97?
Yeah, so the
That
band
was early.
Yeah, the band started in '96. I started it with a guy from my first mod band. So my first mod band was me, a guitar player named Dave, and my brother Adam, who also played on a lot of Star Collector stuff and still helps us out to this day, who on bass. And we were like, if you saw pictures of us, you'd have to blink twice to not think we were the Jam. We were the three-piece, like 100%. That was exactly our Kings to us. And still is for me. I still think Paul Weller's stuff is just, his writing is fantastic. But anyway, so that band broke up. I moved to Vancouver, and then so you asked how Steve and I met, and he said in a restaurant. So it's funny. There's a song on the record which is actually about me meeting Steve. And what's really hilarious about it is that when this band was working on the song, both Steve and Tony, our bass player, came up to me and said, "What the hell is that song about? It's called Section 8. Is it about like trying to get out of the army like Klinger and MASH?" Apparently there's some like rental housing thing called a Section 8 in the States. I don't know. Yep. And it's nothing to do with that. I was waiting tables at a family restaurant, and Steve and a bunch of his brother and some friends were sitting in my section. And I walked by and I heard them say the words rehearsal space. So this is back to the don't ask, don't get thing. So I'm walking by and I'm starting a band. I used to be a drummer in the mod bands that I was in, but I decided I was going to switch to being a frontman, guitar player, songwriter thing. And I had a drummer lined up, and I walk by, I hear rehearsal space, and I think, let me think about this. Yeah. So I popped over and I said, "Hey, are you guys musicians?" And two guys put their hands up kind of and said, "Yeah, we are." And I said, "Well, what do you play?" One said, "I play guitar." The other said, "I play bass." And I said, "Well, isn't that interesting? I'm a songwriter. I've got a drummer, and I'm looking to put a band together. You want to come hear some of my stuff, and I'll listen to you play and see what you think?" And they said, "Sure." And one of that guitar player turned out to be Steve. And so the simple fact is that the section that I was waiting tables in was Section 8. That's where they were sitting.
Great. I wondered about the Section 8 because, it is like a low rent assistance thing here in the States when you're on Section 8. And
well, that would be our
that would be our song. Do they have that in Canada as well?
Well, our band fund has that.
Yeah. and at the time we met, I was definitely
you were Section 8.
You were Section 8.
Well, Steve was still a teenager then.
I think I was 19
when we met. Yeah. So that's, but it's that sort of thing. So that song, even though, we may or may not play it, the idea behind the song is that there's, how much control do we have over fate and destiny and karma and all those kind of things that we talk about. I don't know, maybe we do have control. Like, had I never said anything, we wouldn't all be sitting here today.
Right.
At that moment, but we might all be sitting in some other kind of cool reality. Who knows? Or maybe Steve and I would have met anyway. But I just kind of liked that whole idea of that, and that's. But that's how we met. And then, like Steve said, we played in two bands kind of together before this. It was like kind of one band with two different names over 6 years. And then when that band broke up, as Steve said, he took a year and moved away. I started Star Collector with Dave, the guy from the mods. And then after about a year, that didn't really pan out. And Steve came back in and took over from Dave. And that was 1997.
And so 97, you guys had, after that, how many albums? Really pretty, not quickly, but I mean, in a few years, you had like 3 albums, right?
Four.
And then you take the long break, the hiatus or whatever, and then come back. But I love the idea that don't ask, don't get is what this album's about. And it goes all the way back to the very first time that you guys met. Kind of, that's pretty fantastic. There aren't a lot of connectors that are that perfect out there. So that's
pretty perfect. I mean, we're celebrating our 30th year as a band next year.
Yeah. That's
when
impressive.
You actually think about it. It's crazy because Steve and I are both only 32, so I'm not quite sure how that can be.
So this is after the hiatus, this is your third album. Everything Must Go is the third one. Game Day, and then Attack, Sustain, Decay, Repeat. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
I always have to figure it out. I don't know why. Like, in my head, I have to go, am I getting it in the right order? Even though I totally understood what the order was and it made it sense. But so now you come with Everything Must Go. And how is it to come back after a long time like that? Because you had a long time off. You have lives, things go on, and then all of a sudden you just reconnect and restart.
Yeah, it was kind of almost like an accident. A buddy of ours was putting on a Christmas show, I think, and he's like, "You guys haven't been played together in ages. Why don't you come and play this show?" And we were like, and we hadn't purposely broke up or anything. We were just hadn't done anything. We were just kind of tired and taking some time off. And we are like, "Oh, that might be kind of fun. Why don't we get together and do that?" And that was kind of the catalyst that we were like, "This is fun. We should start doing this again." So.
Was that before or after all the COVID lockdown stuff started?
That was before.
Oh yeah,
just before.
No, more than that. That was the 2013.
Oh, 2013. So it was way before, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for about 4 years, all we did is just do shows. We just played the songs from the first 4 albums and a couple covers and just had fun.
Yeah.
Because we really enjoyed playing together again, and one of our old bass players was kind of part of that Christmas thing, so we kept him along, so that, and then in 2017 is when kind of the writing started again.
Yeah.
And we wrote a bunch of stuff in fairly quick succession, and that became the Game Day record. Took us a little while to kind of get it all together. We also changed drummers during that time because our longtime drummer Ringo, who was with us since the beginning until, 2018, he moved away, had a kid. And so we replaced him with a fellow named Adrian that's still with us now, who was in another band that we had done tons of shows and tours with over the years. In fact, he was in a long time band with the guy Steve just mentioned that actually coaxed us back out to play again. Derek. And Derek actually has played on our last 3 records. He's a keyboard player, and he plays in a band called the Bad Beats now.
Oh, yeah.
And who you're a fan of, that's right.
Yeah.
So Adrian and Derek played together in this band for like 15 years or more. And Adrian just seemed like the natural guy to fill the drum seat after Ringo left, and it worked out really well. And turns out he was a recording engineer. So that really helped us, especially through COVID.
It's gotta help, yeah.
Yeah.
So you had a drummer named Ringo.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I'm not quite sure he was. I'm not sure if his birth certificate says that, but no, his real name is Rene.
Oh,
but we had been calling him Ringo pretty much from day one, and it really stuck. Like, we still call him that. He actually played on our last tour with us because Adrian couldn't do it, and so he just lives in another province. It lives in Alberta, but we stay with him when we tour there with his wife and his great kid.
Nice.
And then he played some shows with us. So but yeah, he's a great guy.
I've never been in a band, and I'm not musically inclined other than to listen to it. Why do bands go through so many drummers? I mean, this is just like, it's not just Spinal Tap. It's like everything. I mean, drummers is it that they're hard to find good ones, or is it just a hard job nobody wants to do for very long? I don't know.
Well, as you probably know, for us, it's bass players.
Yeah, you guys have bass players. I was going to get to that because you could have your own thing about bass players the way some people do about drummers. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we've only had 2 drummers in 29 years. So that's not bad.
You're bucking the trend.
Yeah, but we've had 19 bass players. So.
19 bass players. Okay.
I can present a list. Trust me, that's not stretching the truth. That is the truth. But luckily, for almost 4 years now, we've had Tony, who we just call Tone, in the band, and he's a fantastic player and just a really, really likable, easygoing guy. It's like, so we got lucky, and that's a funny story too. I mean, we're talking funny stories. So when we realized that we needed to have a more full-time bass player, because Adam, my brother, had been sort of playing with us, but he lives in Portland, Oregon, and couldn't fly up to do shows all the time. He would record with us, but once we started playing again, we kind of knew we needed to find someone else. So so Adrian said to us, man, because he used to play with Tony in another band, he said, boy, I'd love to get Tony Kerr in the band, but he's kind of decided he's not playing anymore. He's kind of sort of retired from being in a full-time band. And don't ask, don't get. I said, fuck that. And I literally sent him a message that day and said, Tony, it's Vic from Star Collector. Interested in playing in the band? We need a bass player. Yep.
The rest is history.
So we got to laud that over Adrian's head for quite some time, actually, which was always good fun in the band dynamic. But Tony's a wonderful guy and a wonderful player, and we're truly lucky to have someone that talented, as you can probably hear when you listen to the record. Like he played on.
I've really noticed on this record. I think that the rhythm section really gelled just because of that little extra time with Tony and Adrian working together. I'm really happy with the rhythm section stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the album it sounds fantastic to me. I'm the last person to talk about whether it's musically good or the production or any of that. I just know what I like to listen to. And since I started playing it, I was like, okay, this is exactly what I expected, but also with some interesting twists along the way and some things where, it pushes the envelope here and there, but in a way that I really enjoyed quite a bit. It's a fantastic album. I think you guys have done a great job. I have some favorite songs. I know this. I mentioned to you that I was going to ask about like favorite songs. And it's always hard for any musician to say which of their songs they like most or anything like that. So you don't have to say what your favorite song is off the album. I'm curious to know, though, what you think the audience thinks is the favorite song off the album. Or is there a song you think this one is probably going to hit, like, people are going to really gel around it? And you can draw on Game Day and some of the past albums and things, and looking back, this became a crowd favorite and we didn't realize, or we totally knew this was going to be a crowd favorite.
Yeah, well, I mean, for sure, you can't always tell when you're writing and arranging the songs. You have a pretty good idea of which ones are going to work best live, say.
Right.
And which ones, even though recording, you're really happy that you've recorded them, but they're just not going to translate as well live. Or you've got a 40-minute slot at some show, so you're going to play 10 songs, and you're drawn from 7 albums. Well, you're probably not going to play the 5.5-minute mid-tempo moody one at a huge place like the Commodore Ballroom here. You're going to stick to the ones that are going to get the crowd going. Yeah. But in other cases, like if you're doing an album release and you're playing an hour 5, you might throw in 3 slower ones because you want the set to move and groove and stuff. So that's when you get to toss in some of those slower ones that we might really like. Like 2 of my favorites, and it says I obviously like the whole record, but 2 of my favorites on the new album are called Queen Bed and Overblown, and they're both quite mellower songs. Yeah. And I just think, from a songwriting perspective, I think they're, having written a lot of songs, I think they're very well put together, very well crafted, very well thought out, and well arranged and well produced and recorded. So from a listening perspective, I'm drawn to a lot of those songs like that too. But live, we can't do a whole set of that. So certainly Everything Must Go from the record. And then there's another one called Shining Example that we've been playing that's been getting a really good, and then a real poppy one called The Best Thing, which is actually kind of popping out and people have mentioned too. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, ear of the beholder, man.
It's the ear of the beholder. That is exactly right. Because everybody listens to an album or a song or anything and then has their own take on it. I'm always attracted to, it's my sort of bad punk rock background, the higher energy, up-tempo type, faster songs and things. But then I'm always surprised when I really like the, slower ballads, acoustic, more things. And I go, oh, okay. Maybe I should pay more attention to that at times.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely some pretty rockin'. I think, one of the tags that we used in describing the album is the rock's rockier, the pop's poppier, and the moody's moodier. And I think it's true. Like Everything Must Go and Roll That Rock, are like super high energy rock songs. And then there's the ones I just mentioned, and this one called Your Version of Me, which are like these real moody kind of mellow things. And then there's some straight up the middle stuff too. So, but it's fun for us to actually continue to push those and explore those boundaries because, to be perfectly frank, the other 3 guys in the band are really great musicians, and they can.
As are you.
We know that's a lot of crap of shit, Steve. but they're able to tackle stuff that doesn't have to be 3-chord straight up. Like Everything Must Go is a really simple song chordally. But it really works. So you're not going to not do it because it just works. But there's a song on the album that has a 7/4 time bar that happens every time. I mean, like, what kind of mod influenced rock band is throwing 7/4 time in? None that I know.
Yeah.
Certainly not Secret Affair and Purple Hearts and stuff.
Right.
So, but it's just one of those things that, you know, as we continue to play together, this particular group of people, it becomes apparent that we can throw stuff, like Steve and I can write stuff that isn't just straight up mod rock stuff, and we can do that too, but we can also throw other stuff at the guys, and they'll just like chomping on the bit to get at it and to make it something even more, you know, like trying to expand the whole power pop thing. Like, you know, it is kind of our main bread and butter. I've said it before on our last records, and, you know, it's our main highway. I think I said to someone the other day, but we make lots of little road stops along the way.
Well, I mean, you have to grow too. If you were just going to play jam songs or mod revival songs or 60s songs for umpteen years, that would probably get boring.
Yeah, I'd argue that's the secret to our longevity is probably because we keep trying new stuff.
Yes.
And you know, keep pushing our boundaries.
Yeah, you have to expand that, and it the influences from those things, I can hear them when I'm listening to it. I go, oh yeah, this is interesting, you know, like these little influences. But then there's things that are like kind of psychedelic and prog rockish almost, and like, you know, that really kind of expands my listening horizon, I guess. And I would think that it would be boring if you couldn't do that, obviously. And you have to change and expand as you go along, and it makes it more fun for you guys.
100%.
Yeah,
it really does. Yeah.
That's good. Fun. Here's a different, it just dawned on me, okay, there are songs that you may like or songs the audience likes. What are songs that are the most fun to play? Are there songs that are more fun than others, and so you gravitate to them, especially maybe in a live setting, I would guess, because that's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it depends on the fun too. Like a shining example keeps popping up because I know every time we kick into that in rehearsal, we start bouncing up and down. I mean, it's just naturally has that feel, so you start doing it, and it's just fun. So yeah, there's definitely, but then there's others that are fun in the, you know, technical way. You know, like they're like, okay, this is a challenge, but it's fun to get it across to the audience and actually hit the right notes.
Yeah. There's guitar work in these songs across a number of them that I'm like, wow, it doesn't sound like old school mod bands. I mean, you guys are really tight as musicians in your playing, and it shows, and you hear it and you're like, wow, there's a little bit of occasionally getting blown away when you're listening to it. So kudos to you for that. And I would guess that's fun, but maybe challenging when you're having to play it live too.
Yeah. Well, I know when we were recording a bunch of the solos and stuff for this album, and I had to go back and relearn what I had played in the studio. It was,
right? You have to relearn what you did.
Yeah, exactly. What was I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of variety in the styles of play too. Like Steve's guitar playing jumps from, I would argue something like Stone Temple Pilots type sounding in Heavy on You, which is one of the songs on the record, which is, really in your face with fuzz bass and kind of like this heavy groove, and then this kind of really lots of delay, almost Pink Floydish kind of guitar approach in Your Version of Me, which is a slower song. And then sort of straight up mod, a mod approach in Roll That Rock or even Victory Dance, even though he's playing slide, which wasn't necessarily a big thing in mod music, but that song definitely has a lot of mod about it. I actually wrote that one with Dave, the guy that I mentioned before. And that's, so to be able to go into all these different areas as a guitar player, I suppose even more as a guitar player than the rhythm section, but them too, for sure. But because the guitar player is always changing his sounds, I shouldn't sell Tony short. He has more bass pedal. He has more pedals than we do.
That's actually
that's true. So I'll take that back. But the point being that when you're trying to, you're throwing songs like these ones I just mentioned, and you're putting them all in one pot and saying, okay, so for this song, it's definitely like a heavier, darker vibe. And then Steve's got to go, okay, well, what am I going to do to make the guitar right for the song, the sounds right for the song, the approach right for the song? right, Steve? Am I off base here?
Yeah, absolutely. And yet, for some reason, I guess because we played together so long, it still tends to gel as Star Collector. You know what I mean? Like stylistically, it can jump around a lot, but it's still, for some reason, I guess just longevity, we can still make it sound like Star Collector. So
it does. It is interesting that bands over long periods of time, you can still identify them as soon as you hear them. If you've listened to them enough, right? You go, oh, so if you had just blindly sent me a song or I stumbled across it, I would have been like, that sounds familiar. And then I would have been like, okay, the vocal, obviously, but just the playing style too, right? Yeah. Even when you try new things, you still have it's like a musical fingerprint that gets put on a song. And good bands have that, and you can identify it and you go, oh yeah, there they are. Which is part of why the album works, because if you like that musical fingerprint the first time, you're going to like it the 8th or 10th time too.
Well, thank you. So that's really nice of you to say. Yeah, very kind of you. David St. Hubbins thanks you.
Oh, that's great.
For those of you in Radio Land who can't see, this is my David St. Hubbins action figure that one of my brothers sent me. It just happens to be sitting here and seemed like the right time to bring it up. See, there's no Janine doll, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, thank you, Rob. That's really nice of you to say, and you know, I think there is some truth to both what you said and Steve said too, which is that longevity is part of it, and you know. Like you said too, like our voices, like Steve and I have been singing together now for so long that our voices have a sound when they sing together. So I think that's probably part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, when parts go together at work all the time, except when you have to put a little grease on them, but they're still working. And yeah, it shows. So I appreciated that. This is a good point. We'll take a little tiny break and I'm going to play a song and then we'll come back and talk about that briefly, and then we'll talk about some other musical stuff too. So we'll be right back.
Shakedown the breakdown. Your daylight's coming around. Shakedown the breakdown. The hourglass upside down. Shakedown the breakdown. Your daylight's coming around. Shakedown the breakdown. We all need a gang in this cold. We all need a gang in this cold town.
Hi, this is Sal from the Gold Stars in Chicago, Illinois, and you're listening to Mr. Suave's Mod World at MrSuave.com. Oh yeah, baby!
Okay, we're back with Star Collector, and we just listened to one of my favorite songs, or a few favorite songs, I guess, from the new album, Everything Must Go. And this one, I mean, you won't be surprised by it probably, because I thought it had a really Who-ish like quality, which is Shakedown the Breakdown. Yeah. And I heard this, it came on, and I thought, after a few seconds, well, a little bit of time, I was like, wow, this could have like fallen off the Quadrophenia album soundtrack or something. You know, it sounded like that. It had this guitar quality that was really fantastic. These like ringing power chords and things going on, and I thought, oh, it's like 515 or something from the Who, and I loved it, and I think that if it doesn't become one of the songs that you guys are like known for a little bit, I would be surprised. I mean, it's fantastic, and I can't say enough good things about it, so I'll stop.
I actually remember coming up with the riff. We were actually recording, I think, was it Attack Sustain that we were recording? At Adrian's place, because we were recording at his house, and I started playing that riff, and Vic's like, as he usually does, he goes, "Oh, stop, get that," and I always have to record stuff because I'll forget. So I remember coming up with that riff, yeah, and so, and then I probably brought it home and then made a copy and sent it over to Vic to take it to the next step. So
yeah, it has a couple of riffs almost. There are a couple of elements going on there along the way, and I was just kind of blown away by it when I heard it, and I've listened to it now repeatedly, maybe more than other songs on the album. Just, I don't know, it hit a nerve in my ear somewhere.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I mean, knowing the kind of music that you like, because we've known each other now for about 4 or 5 years, I guess I'm not that surprised, because there is a lot of Who influence in there. The drumming, it flails a lot, you know, in a good way, and the bass playing certainly has an Entwistlian approach to it, which is, you know, busy but great busy.
Yeah.
So, and that one. Yeah, actually, that one, you did start that one, Steve. I remember that. And then we actually worked on that together, sitting in my living room quite a bit, because I remember that, like, this one actually has like a key change near the end, and then we bring it back to the regular key. And we did a few things on that we might not do in some of the other songs. Like we actually probably spent more time on that than some of the others, but it felt, it always, when it comes to writing, it's like, if it feels like it needs a little more time, then you think it's worth it, you put the time in. So that's really cool. I'm glad you like that one. Like we like all the songs on the record, or they wouldn't be on the record.
Of course.
That's the bottom line. Like if we didn't like it, we would just put something else on. We actually recorded another song that we felt horrible about leaving off because we really like it.
Oh, wow.
We decided we weren't going to do 14. In fact, we almost only did 12. We were the very last minute decided to keep 13, but I'm glad you like it. It's
a lot of fun to play too. Like when we rock it out, it has a great feeling when those drums come in with the.
Yeah, the drums are. It must be fun for the drummer.
Yeah,
and it hits my musical spot. Like I said, a lot of the songs do. There's some really. I don't want to overly say, oh, that's a really great song, but there's a lot of great songs on the album that I enjoyed so much.
We won't stop you from saying
that. You mentioned Shining Example. That's good. What's the one about roll? The rolling the rock up.
Roll that rock up that hill.
Yes, roll that rock up that hill. It's great. I've just enjoyed listening to it over and over and over, but maybe not as much as the Shakedown the Breakdown.
Well, that's good. Well, and again, I'm not surprised you like Roll That Rock.
Yeah, right.
That one's probably the most mod-ish of all the songs on the record. And I wrote that with Adam, my brother, and we both came from the mod thing. So it's not a huge surprise that it's... And my brother actually plays bass on that. That's the one song on the album that he played on.
Nice.
Tony played on everything else. But I figured because Adam wrote it with me, we should probably let him play on it. And he did a fantastic job on it too, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. I mean, yeah, if you had asked me what I thought your favorite ones would be, I probably would have. I'm not sure I would have gone to Shakedown, but now that you say all that stuff, I hear it. And I don't know. I probably would have thought Shining Example and maybe Victory Dance because they seem to be kind of in that pocket of yours that I know you like whenever you tell me songs you dig. So
yeah, no, I'm digging it all, and I can be predictable. People who listen to the Modcast know like where my wheelhouse is, I guess, so to speak. That's not surprising, but let me ask where your wheelhouse is, and maybe kind of currently contemporary, like what is summer of 2025 road trip? What's your soundtrack? Is there a go-to song band or somebody else out there that you're just really vibing to right now that you want to share?
Steve, you want to go? You got some stuff?
Gosh. We've just had a road trip and we've had all our phones all playing different tracks, trying to remember it all. The Lemon Twigs come to mind.
Oh yeah.
That's what else?
They just had something that came out earlier this year, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I'd have to go back and look at what it's called because now I can't remember. But that's just because I'm old.
Yeah, I can never. I mean, I'm trying to think contemporary. I can't.
Well, maybe there's even old stuff that it's just what you're listening to now.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what is this summer? What's the go-to listening thing that is on your mind? And maybe it's just you put it on shuffle, and whatever happens, happens. I do that.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. When you, I've got a little list here, and I'm just going to whip through it really quickly. I just made it off the top of my head. I probably missed a bunch that I'll regret later not thinking of. And some you'll be familiar with, some you'll be like, I've never heard of them. But these are some things that I came across over the last year that I must say I quite enjoyed. Okay, so there's some Vancouver acts. Both acts that open for us, I really enjoy them. The Bad Beats and this band called the Starling Effect.
Okay.
And not just because they played with us. That was the reason we asked them to play with us. But I think they're both really good bands. Check them out. Another local one that I haven't actually seen live yet, but heard some recordings and really like them, called Combine the Victorious.
Okay.
And a couple of spunky teenagers in a band that's just called Bean, B-E-E-N.
B-E-N.
B-E-E-N, like bean, like I've been.
Yeah.
Around. world or whatever. And then I've got a band from Edmonton called the Wafer Thin Mints, which is a great play on the Python thing, but they're great. And the singer's wife is in The Pursuit of Happiness, and she's actually singing on our record. So that's how we ended up meeting them. We did a show with them a few years back in Edmonton, and their stuff is stellar. Chelsea Curve from Boston.
Yeah.
Chris Church from North Carolina or South Carolina, one of the Carolinas. My brother's project called Maud Lewis. My other brother's project called Los Gatitos. How
many brothers do you have?
12, 13. A band from your neck of the woods that just put out something not that long ago, which I was so happy to see because I didn't realize they had a new one. Mopsy. Really good.
I don't know Mopsy.
Oh, check Mopsy out, man. They're very cool. They used to be a band called the Young Sportsmen.
Oh, yeah.
Before that, they were called Muzzle. And they're honestly really good. Check all those bands out. Kevin Robertson from Scotland. Total different, like kind of birdsy, but excellent. Guy from Halifax called Barry Francis Walsh, who used to be in a band called Cool Blue Halo, who released a bunch of singles, and they're really, really good. And a couple bands that my kids turned me on to that are not mod at all. And on first listen, someone might go, "Really, you like those, Vic?" But I really dug them. One's called the Red Clay Strays, and the other one's called the Blue Stones. So there you go. There's a list. You asked for it. You got. Don't ask, don't get, Rob.
The Red Clay Strays and the Blue Stones.
Yeah, and they both sound a little bit like the Black Keys. So go figure.
Red and blue, in black. Okay, yeah, that's great. Thanks. I will be going back over this now and feverishly writing down I've never heard of them or them and them, and I gotta check that out because love to have new music. It's kind of why I do this. It's finding new bands. And then the new bands become like Star Collector, my favorite bands, or bands that are really, I listen to them a lot. And that becomes fantastic. But it's always, of course, fun to discover a new band or discover an old band that you never knew about from 30 years ago. And then suddenly you have this whole catalog of new music. But that's a whole different podcast. So.
Oh man, I remember the first time. I remember it was like 20 some years of people talking about how great this band Big Star was, and I'd never heard them.
Yeah.
And then that exactly just immediately fell in love with them. Like, how did I miss out on all that great stuff over all those years? So I totally get what you're saying. There's just, sometimes it's like discovering gold.
Yeah. And you wonder once you discover it, like, how did nobody else discover this? Big Star is a great example because cult status of in the know now, but 20 years ago, 30 years ago, nobody knew or paid much attention to. And it's like, how did that happen? But it did. And we all get to enjoy meeting it now, I guess is the way I say it, because really I'd heard about Big Star at some point a long time ago and I didn't pay much attention. And there wasn't as much easy access, to music.
Right.
And 35 years ago, you had to really search out Big Star. Now you just type Big Star.
Yeah.
Big Star, which is both good and bad, but also another podcast. Well, I appreciate you guys taking your time to do this. This is great. I will encourage everyone I know to go out and get the record, Star Collector, Everything Must Go. It's a song and the title of the album and a video too. Will there be more videos coming? Because you guys do some good videos.
Oh, that's all Steve. You can thank Steve for
Okay.
that. He decided just out of the blue when we did game day because it was lockdown. Right, you tell the story, Steve.
Yeah. No, it was lockdown, and I was, of course, had to start working from home, and had some free time, and I started messing around on my programs, and I was like, that actually looks. I bet we could do a video, and just on my phone, and started putting some stuff together just with some found footage and things, and I think I started with "Rip It Off," even though I don't think you had intended that as the first single, but
I actually intended the song Game Day to be the first single, but Steve had already started Rip It Off, so I had to go, that was going to be the second one, so we'll just flip them. But because those two songs definitely for me deserve to be the first two. But anyway, Go ahead.
Yeah, and then so I sent it over to Vic, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, maybe we should try doing that." And next thing we know, we got Vic over at the house with his mod clothes on, filming stuff, and just keep learning as I go, and hopefully they keep getting better. So,
and fortuitously wearing my Soundtrack of Our Lives t-shirt.
That right?
Fortuitously, right? You never know when wearing a t-shirt is going to help you. It could.
There you go.
What's that t-shirt? Nobody can see these, but Vic, you're wearing your Jam t-shirt.
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah.
One of them.
And this is one of the symbols from Attack Sustain. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So you're wearing your you have more than one symbol or logo that goes with that?
Yeah, here. You can't see it on the radio, but you can see it in the corner of the
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. And each of those represents, Steve came up with that. Each of them represents Attack, Sustain, Decay, Repeat. And for our, we had the idea. Was it your idea? I think it was a friend of yours, wasn't it? Who had the idea, Steve, about us getting the shirts?
It was a friend of mine. Yeah.
That's friend of yours. Yeah. So Steve got some shirts made up with all the different symbols. So each of us has a different one. And
nice.
we wear them. We did wear them for a number of shows, but now that the new album's out, they're kind of.
Right. You got to switch to all the new stuff like Taylor Swift.
That's right. That's right.
So do you have any ideas what the next video might be? You guys you do a good job with your videos, and you always do 2 or 3 at least, it seems like, off the last couple of albums. So I'm looking forward to another one.
We did 6 on game day, and we did 5 and 5 on the last one. In fact, we were going to do 6 on that one too, and then time just kind of ran out. But definitely, we've just literally been talking about locations, and we're honing in on something. So hopefully we'll get to shoot that in the next 2-3 weeks. Hopefully,
that must be fun.
Yeah, it's
lots of fun.
Yeah,
but a lot of work too.
Yeah,
for Steve.
Yeah,
the rest of us show up.
Yeah,
the rest of us show up, do our performance, and then Steve gets to go and hunker down over the
edit for hours.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw a bunch of videos up on the Modcast homepage for this episode, which I think will be, I have to count them in my head now, number 585, Modcast number 585.
Amazing.
And I'll put some of the videos up on the page at mrsuave.com, and people can get the links to your albums there. And of course, just search for Star Collector, and I would guess you want people to go to Bandcamp. Is that the best place?
Yeah, you can get the digital version or CDs there. There's also a couple online distributors called Cool Cat Music and Jam Records.
Cool Cat.
Which are based in the States. So sometimes the mailing's cheaper if you do it there. And then it will be on streaming next month, but not for a few weeks yet because we're trying to encourage people to refill the coffers that have been emptied.
Exactly. And
emptied again.
I always encourage people with bands that aren't Green Day or something, go to their website and buy the music and, support them, because it's obviously what makes the world go round for you guys and for all of us that enjoy getting the music, because if you don't have a way to sustain that, then we lose out in the long run. So it's part of what I hope I do is encourage people to buy all of that good stuff. So, all right. Well,
we thank you for that.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And as I said, you can find this. It's Modcast number 585, mrsuave.com. And there will be all the links to all the good things there, and you will find it. So thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks so much, Rob.
And like I've said for many, many years, see you at rehearsal tomorrow, Steve.
Yeah, that's right.
they're making more pretty green. Yeah, they're shaking the rust off impatience, but so what? But so what? A shot in